Did you get in a workout today before the show?
I certainly did. I did 43 minutes on my recumbent bike and feel great.
Nice, nice. I wanted to ask you kind of right at the start of the show, you've had a lifelong habit of exercise, and you were exercising long before exercise was cool. I mean, you were a runner before running was cool. I think you told a story one time when you first got to college. There was a ex military person who was your roommate for like 6 months who had some weights and stuff, and everybody thought that was really weird. But where did you get that habit? Where did you get that start with your exercise?
It's hard to say, but I can tell you this: everybody has an addiction. Okay,
Yeah.
I think I've always had that addiction of endorphins, and I mean, I can remember living in Turkey and running around the neighborhood, 3 or 4 miles with no shirt on, and that was not necessarily the thing to do over there.
Yeah.
But nobody gave me a problem. And I know my high school buddies back in the States would go out and they'd want to look for girls, and I'd want to go work out. So I'm not absolutely sure, Brian, that's anything to brag about.
Well, I have memories of when I was very young when you were stationed at upstate New York in Plattsburgh Air Force Base, but I literally can remember consciously you coming in from a run, and this is upstate New York in the winter where it gets very, very cold, and you would come in and you would have nothing but a pair of shorts on with some socks for gloves, and you would have literally icicles hanging off the end of your nose. So when we say you've had a lifelong exercise habit, I mean, you've had a serious exercise habit, including running 3 marathons. So talk a little bit about those marathons you ran.
Well, the last one I ran was in '79, then I ran one in '78, and I ran one in '77. The first one was 4 hours and 5 minutes. The second one was a little less than 4 hours. Anyway, I ran 3 of them, a little over 4 the first one. The second one was a little less than 4, and the last one was in '79 was 3 hours, 44 minutes, and 16 seconds. I wanted to break 3:45.
Nice.
And run the entire way. Never walk.
Yeah.
I just drink water on the run. But anyway, so at 20 miles, I kind of was dragging a bit. And anyway, this 27 to 30-year-old female comes up beside me and says, "How you doing?" I say, "I'm beginning to fade a little bit." She said, "Hang with me." So I ran. She led me in all the way, and of course she spent the last part. I've tried to find her after the race and I couldn't. But anyway, after that, I decided I like to run too much. I like to exercise too much, and marathons will really take a lot out of you. It's actually probably not the smart thing to do too many of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my last one. Never do another one again. But it was fun to do one.
And you've maintained one of the things I think that's most impressive about your exercise habit is you maintained it throughout your entire life. So you were doing it when you were a young kid, but you're what are you now? 82, 83, something like that?
Yeah, right.
76, but you're still exercising. You maintained it throughout your whole life. So there must be something about you talked about the endorphins earlier, but there must be something more than that drives you to, I mean, if you got something early in the morning, you'll get up at 4 a.m. to get your exercise out of the way. I remember when Brett and I were in high school, you'd get up early and go run. And then the way you would wake us up for school is by taking your dirty sweat socks and sticking them in our faces when we're still sleeping. So what was it that other than the endorphins, what is it about the exercise habit that you got into that you've been able to maintain it throughout your entire life?
Well, part of it is I've been extremely lucky. I have no feet problems. I no ankle problems, no knee problems. I haven't had any problems. Okay. And you asked me how old I was. Well, yesterday I was 40. Today I'm 77. You figure that baby out. But anyway, I tell you what I think it is. A lot of it is if you get up and you get some exercise. Now, I don't get up early unless I have to. But if you get some exercise, then you can feel the rest of the day like you've accomplished something. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, driving driving to work, feel like you've done something. I thought that, it just makes you feel like if everything else goes to poo-poo in a handbasket, you've at least done something. And so that's kind of the reason that it gives you a sense of satisfaction. And so that's part of it. I mean, I tell you what, it's hard to get up, and you know that, and everybody else that exercise knows that. And the old saying is the first step is always the toughest. Rolling out of bed and taking that first step. But you get a good reward at the end. You feel good the rest of the day. You feel like you actually did something. And I can drive to work and I can look at all the people in the other cars and I can say, ha, 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 ha. I'll bet you.
And that's one of the things that you've instilled in me, and I'm trying to instill in your grandkids and my kids, is this habit of exercise. And one thing I tell people, and I'm not sure if this is the same way you feel, but one of the things you used to say is the difference between an athlete and somebody who exercises. An athlete exercises when they don't feel like it. And what I've noticed is I honestly cannot recall a time where I felt worse after exercising than I felt before. Like, I always feel better. And I think people that don't have the habit of exercise might not have that feeling. Like, they might actually feel worse sometimes after they exercise. So talk a little bit about your mentality. I mean, there was a time period where you probably ran every single day, 7 days a week for years because you kept track of it. So what was it where did you develop the mentality to get out there and exercise even when you didn't feel like doing it?
Well, it's kind of funny because it seemed to me like a lot of the days when you didn't feel like it, once you got started, you actually felt better
Yeah.
than the days that you felt real good going out. But it's Herb Elliott, who was a famous Australian distance runner. I think he was one of the second or third guys to ever break the 4-minute mile. Okay.
Okay.
He said anybody can exercise when they're feeling good. He said it's the people that can run through those tough times when they're not feeling good that are going to win the championships. And when Janice gets on the treadmill and she has a bad workout, she said, I really felt bad. I say, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you did, because you force yourself to. That's the best exercise you can do. Anybody can do it when you feel good.
Yeah.
So that was kind of that's kind of the way I looked at it. And so I've got to admit that I go overboard with it, and but it's kind of part of my DNA. And so I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. And if I'm on a hospice bed, I'm hoping to get maybe a couple of 2-pound dumbbells and exercise with those, or do a few pull-ups or something on the bedpost. I mean, it just makes me feel better. I think the bottom line is it makes me happy.
Nice.
So that's kind of it. But anyway, I before we go any further, I kind of got a little bone to pick with you before we go any further.
Okay.
It's a little after 2:00 in the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what people my age are supposed to be doing at 2:00 in the afternoon?
Going to Luby's, sending chain emails. I don't know.
Taking a nap. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
You need to be more aware of that.
Well, I apologize for cutting into your nap time. If you want, we can take a quick break and you can take a little
break.
Yeah. Well, seriously, Lieutenant Colonel, and I'm going to call you Dad because it sounds weird to call you Lieutenant Colonel. Dad, I'm really happy that you've come on the show. There's a bunch of things I want to talk about. I normally tell my guests, because I've had some super prominent guests. I mean, very, very important people. I normally say, boy, I really appreciate your time, but I know you don't really have much going on right now.
Yeah, I go from meeting to meeting, okay?